Hello and welcome to how to edit a WordPress site using Beaver Builder. Beaver Builder is a sort of a front end, what you see is what you get environment. It's a little bit more intuitive. Actually, I find it a lot more intuitive. It'll be all taken care of on the front of your website, so you'll be editing things more or less in real time. So when you log into your site, this is where you'll end up, which is your WordPress dashboard. So there's a few things that are important for us to know. We'll cover most of these things in the future. Posts, if we're doing blog posts, this is where you'll access all of your blog posts, where you'll create new ones. Media, this is where you'll end up doing a lot of work in your media library. By adding new here, but we'll come to that at another episode, if you will. Pages, this is kind of the heart and soul of where you're going to be. Right now our website only has the one home page and then this draft page, which is not published. We're going to go ahead and edit our home page today. So like I said, you'll end up here at the dashboard. And there's a couple different ways that we can start editing our site. If we know the page that we want to go to, we would go up to Pages, and generally there'll be a list of generally 4 or more pages on a website. The main SKC site has multiple pages, so we end up having to do a lot of scrolling. Or sometimes it's easier to just access your site from the front page. And the way to do that is to click up here where your theme name is, and this will probably be your department, division, or program's name. Click that, and it opens up your website. Now, right now we are in the viewing experience of the theme. We can scroll through just like anybody else would when they're accessing their website. It acts the exact same way. But when it comes time for us to want to edit some of these areas, the way we're going to do that is by clicking on Beaver Builder up here in the menu bar. Now this opens up a whole new world of possibilities, if you will. And there are anywhere where we hover over an area, you'll start to see these outlines around them. And they generally will have a wrench icon, which indicates that there's some settings that we can adjust here. The blue settings are individual or page-specific settings that we can edit. And then there's also these areas that have these round orange outlines around them. When we click on these to edit them, they will end up being making global changes. So this is a call to action that will be repeated all throughout the site wherever this particular module has been placed. So the most simple editing that most of us or most of you are going to be doing to your website is just updating content. When we first build out the page, it'll look something like this with lots of Greek text that is intended for you to fill in those blanks. It's fairly easy to do. If we want to change this paragraph text in the heading, we simply click on it, and our text editor will pop up. Now you can move your text editor all over the place. You can also, as you're moving it around, you can see these blue bars on either side. Those become little docks that you can add your text editor to, so they always pop up there. My own personal preference is to put my dock over on the right-hand side, so I've got my page that I can see and edit over on the left. So here we can go ahead and edit as we need to. Let's see here. I'm going to do put some new placeholder text here. IO. Yeah, that's not exactly what I'm after. I will take it. So we click on this in this area, and we can edit this as we see fit. Now, if there's areas in here that we want to make bolder, it's fairly simple. Click the B. If we don't want to do that, unclick the B. If we want to turn some of our text into a list, there's two different types of lists that we can use. There is the bulleted list and the numbered list. Now that's all that WordPress allows, unless we were to go back in and do a lot of editing on the back side, and that's not what we're going to do. We need a simple experience. So I just turn this list into, or this paragraph into a list. Now each time I return, I get a new list item. Now let's say that one of these lists, or list items, is a link to another website. Well, we want to go up to this chain link icon. First we'll highlight our text, then we're going to go up to our chain link icon, and then we're going to type in what the website is, or copy and paste it. And just like that, we won't see it over here necessarily right away, but it will show up there eventually once upon save. Now to keep going on with some of our features here, if I want to take this paragraph and I don't want it to be left justified, I want it to be, say, center justified. That's what these icons here are for. Now it's centered, now it's right justified, now we're back to left justified. If we want to make this a block quote, or to pull it out so that it is noticeable in the page, or more noticeable in the page, we can go ahead and click on the quotes icon. It's not very frequent that we need to do that. We've got a better solution for that down here, but we can go ahead and do that if needs be. Alright, so I'm going to delete some of that. When I've made all of my changes, I'll go down to the bottom here and click Save. Alright, and let's say that here's a button, and we want this button to go to, we want to take us to another website. Generally, something like this, as primary page action, is going to be, get more info, or register now, or apply today. So we'll go ahead and put in SKC's administration website. Excuse me, not administration, admissions website. Interested at skc.edu. And we can change the title. Let's call it Admissions at SKC. It's not a very exciting title. Let's call it Apply to SKC today. Click action is a link. Now, one of the really important decisions we have to make here is whether we want this to open up in a new tab or not. Now, although this says new window, that actually is meaning a new tab. So if we click on new tab, once the user clicks on the button, it'll pop up it'll populate a whole new tab on their browser. I prefer to do that, especially if it's going to a new. Actually, I only prefer to do that if it's going to a new URL. If it's going to stay on our primary website or the website that we're working on, then I'll leave this off, because then that's, they're just following their journey through our website. But once they leave our website, I like to have them have an option to quickly go back to it without having to do a bunch of clicking back. So click on New Window and click Save. So these are all the same basic process. This is a heading module, and looks a little bit different than the text editor module, but pretty similar. Here we're going to go ahead and change the name of this. I guess I didn't need the capital N. So all of the H's, they indicate the size of the heading. And after we've gone through and developed the initial website, my suggestion, and it's a best practice, is to leave everything the way it has been built, because Google and all of the other search engines are going to be sifting through each website and making sure that it makes sense in sort of an outline form. If we're just using these H's and everything for different sizes, that's one thing. But what the best practice is that we treat all of these headings as different levels in, say, an outline. So our top level here, this is an H1, that's the page name. And then we come down here to this section, and it's going to have an H2. And then within that section, we have our H3s and then our content. And then we come down here, and now we have another H2 here and another H2 here. So that's how we should generally leave the HTML tag the way it is. There shouldn't be any reason for you to change that. It's not going to be very frequent that you're going to want to add a link to your heading. I would probably discourage that and leave the links in something like your buttons and your internal links within a web or within a text editor. So you can see we turn this one into a link, and it's got an underline on it now. Go ahead and hit save. And again, these all have a really similar editing experience. We'll go ahead and edit this area. Actually, I'm sorry, before we do that, I'm going to show you how to change the these big header images. This whole row here contains all of these elements in this column. And if we want to edit that, we'll click on row settings. And we have a lot of things that we can go through here, but primarily, again, it's something that we'll want to leave the way it is, because these have all been designed to all be similar across the SKC environment, and it makes it a lot easier for our users if they're seeing things the same way each time around, or very, very similar each time around. So what we're going to do here right now, I have a generic website, and I have this URL that's being pulled from a different location, this photo source. We're generally going to be working within our media library. So our media library can be reached by selecting the photo, and we can either select files from our computer, or go over to existing items in our media library. And boom, just like that, we've changed our image. some of these areas this is a menu. Generally, unless you know what you're looking for, I would leave menus alone. We can always discuss, your menus as part of the initial build out. So again, back to this call to action. So we're going to change this. And remember, it's a global row. So we're going to go ahead and click on our row settings, and it'll open up in a new tab. And then we can edit each of the individual pieces. Just like we did earlier. Now, once we've edited this global row, we want to lock those edits in, those changes in. We're going to do that by clicking on Done and Publish. And what that's going to do is it's going to remove that tab that we were working in, and it's going to affect those changes across our entire website. So those are some of the basics. Once you've logged in, you'll realize that there are some areas that you cannot edit, and these will be things that we take care of in the initial build out of your site. Things like your header with all of this information in it, as well as your footer. These are global elements that are just the way that WordPress is built, that we don't, as editors, have access to. But anyhow, that is a quick down and dirty on how to edit your site. I hope that works out for you. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a shout. Mike_LOZAR@skc.edu. Thanks, and have a great day.